Hello, my name is Tony Andrews. I'm the Global Product Manager for InfoAsset at Innovise. In a previous video, I showed you how to import data using the Open Data Import Center. In this video, I'm going to show you how to export using the Open Data Export Center. Effectively, it's the reverse of what we did with the Import Center. So let's get started. You'll find the Open Data Import Center under the Network menu item. Under Export, open the Open Data Export Center dialog. And if you've watched the previous video on how to import using the Open Data Import Center, this should be familiar to you, although in reverse. So in this case, we're going to export data from a node table. And we're going to export to CSV format. There are a number of formats that you can export to, but in this case, we're going to choose CSV. We have to say where we're going to export the data file to. So I've got this C:exported. I'm going to give it a name and we'll call it nodes. Moving down to the field mapping configuration. Again, this is the reverse of what we did with the Open Data Import Center. So in this case, we're going to map internal field names in InfoAsset Manager to exported field names. Now we're going to do, in this case, one field at a time. So we add a row, and we have to select which internal field name we want to export. We're going to export node ID, and we're going to export that field heading as ID. Let's add another row. And we're going to export the node type, and this time we'll call it type. And finally, we'll export for system type. We'll call it system. Now we can save this configuration file for future use. And then we just simply hit export. That's exported 254 row objects, and if we go and have a look at the output, we can see there's a file in my exported folder called nodes.csv. If I open that with Excel, you'll see that the export format, there are 3 attributes exported, and I called them ID, type and system, and here's the data. Okay, so that was for a CSV file format. What we're going to do now is export pipe from InfoAsset Manager, and this time we're going to export to shapefile. So we choose shapefile as the export type. Again, we need to put a file name in, so we'll call it pipes. But this time, rather than adding a row at a time, I'm going to hit the auto map button. That generates a whole list of internal field names and provides an automatic mapping to the exported field name in the shapefile. Let's hit export. And we'll export to shapefiles. So let's go back to the folder, and now you'll see we have shapefiles. This time I'm going to export pumps. To an XML format. So as before, we need to specify a file export to. So let's call it pumps. And in this case, we have to set a feature data set. So I'll call it pumps feature data set, and we'll set the feature class as pump feature class. And I'll use the auto map option and export. 3 objects have been exported. So if we go back to the export folder, we can see there's an XML document, and I can open that with something like CodeWriter, for example. And here you'll see here's the featured class and the feature data set, and here is the XML data for one of the pumps. So we've exported nodes to CSV format, pipes to shapefile and pumps to XML. But you can also export to an Oracle database or a SQL Server database, MapInfo files, and geodatabases. So that's exporting data from InfoAsset Manager using the Open Data Export Center. Now there are other ways to export data from InfoAsset Manager, and you'll find these export methods under the Network menu under Export. And you'll see we've got a number of options to export. We can export to CSV files, to MapInfo files, shapefiles, geodatabase, to XML files, and some other specialist system files like PACP, for example, or indeed export to SWIM5. Now these options, unlike the Open Data Export Center, enables us to export the entire network in one go. So let's export this entire network, the nodes, the pipes, the weir, and the pump, to shapefiles. So let's select shapefiles, and we're going to choose the folder to export to, in this case exported. Select folder. Very simple user interface for the GIS export. We're just going to leave everything unchecked at this moment. So we're going to export all the tables. Right, so that then has exported the entire network to individual shapefiles for nodes, pipes, weirs, and pumps. So let's take a look at that output. You can see that nodes have been exported, pipes, pumps, and the weirs, all to individual shapefiles. Okay, so that concludes this video. Thank you for watching.